So Sean, you're with IAPMO.
Yes.
What is IAPMO?
IAPMO is the International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials. We write plumbing codes, we list products, we specialize in plumbing and mechanical codes and systems. We also do product listing and testing all around the world. We have a fairly big presence in the United States and internationally. The ball is rolling down the hill, whether it's 3D printing or AI or so many other different things. We just have to make sure that when it goes in place, it makes sense. We can't hurry new technology, but it's crazy to stop new technology. I've been working in the field for 45 years, so it's been quite a long time. And going back to things like Vitalik and ProPress and everything else, there was a certain part of the industry that doesn't like change and they don't want to hear about it. But it is inevitable, and the vast majority of products that come out, they do work, they help, they're more economical, and they allow people to live better lives. Everybody is out trying to make a better mousetrap. And I think our job is with IAPMO and with listing products is to make sure the mousetrap works.
This year's Connect show, put on by PHCC, the Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Contractors of America, was a total blast. We met and caught up with so many great people from our industry. What an honor to have some of them on Behind the Windshield with Dennis the Apprentice, where we learned a bit more about them, where they came from, how they got into our industry, and some of the innovative things they're doing to make our industry the place to be. One thing special about this show is that it hosts the PHCC National Apprentice Contest, so there were a lot of great apprentices in attendance. I wish you could have been there yourself, and maybe the next best thing is getting to know a bit more about our next guest. Sean, welcome to Behind the Windshield with Dennis the Apprentice at the PHCC Connect show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Sean, you're with IAPMO.
Yes.
A lot of my audience is younger, apprentices and things. What is IAPMO?
Well, IAPMO is the International Association of Plumbing and Mechanical Officials.
Okay.
We write plumbing codes, we list products. We're basically plumbing and mechanical. There are different code organizations out there, but we specialize in plumbing and mechanical codes and systems. We also do product listing and testing all around the world. We have a fairly big presence in the United States and internationally.
So the code that the plumbers studying to pass their test, you oversee making sure that code is proper?
Yes, we oversee it, we update it. Most codes run on a 3-year cycle.
Okay.
So because the industry changes so much, and really that's the only constant in our industry is change. The joining methods, the piping materials we use, all those things change over time. So we update codes on a 3-year cycle to make sure that they're, allowing quality, safe installations and to be brutally honest, protecting the public health.
Right. So if I am disgruntled and I think code should be different, I see a better way or something, how does a plumber affect that?
Well, there is a code change process.
Okay.
And
what's that look like?
What it is that since the codes run on a 3-year cycle, they open it up at a certain time for code changes. And anyone can submit a code change to the model code agencies. There's a few in the United States, but they all work sort of closely on that same process. What happens then is you put in for a code change. It gets reviewed by a technical committee. Each and every one that comes in is reviewed. So anybody who puts something in, it's going to be looked at on a technical basis. The committee is going to vote on it. And then when it gets out of committee, it goes to public hearings. People comment on it. And then there's a process where there are several public hearings that go through it. And then as the 3-year cycle goes, we run an open consensus code. So if you have a part, if you're a stakeholder in the industry, you have a voice and a vote as for code changes themselves.
Wow. So there's a process for that.
Yes, there's a very strict, very stringent process.
Yeah. And you probably stay busy.
Yeah, well, it never ends.
There's things changing. People have ideas and things are new and products. And so you do the UPC stamp on code on products as well?
Yes. And if our IAPMO shield appears on it, then that product is approved to be installed within the uniform codes.
Okay.
Almost everything from backflow preventers to faucets to fixtures have to go through a listing process. They have to be built to a specific standard. And then with that specific standard, It allows them to be tested at an independent laboratory. So that way the plumbers, the apprentices, everybody that's out there, when they install them, they know they're going to work because they've gone through this very, very stringent, at sometimes expensive process.
Sure. Okay, I've been dying to ask this question. 3D printing.
Yes.
Is 3D printing in our futures?
3D printing is it is in our futures. The ball is rolling down the hill, whether it's 3D printing or AI or so many other different things. We just have to make sure that when it goes in place, it makes sense. We can't hurry new technology, but it's crazy to stop new technology.
Right.
I've been working in the field for 45 years, so it's been quite a long time. And, going back to things like Vitalik and ProPress and everything else, there was a certain part of the industry that doesn't like change.
Sure.
And they don't want to hear about it. But it is inevitable, and the vast majority of products that come out, they do work, they help, they're more economical, and they allow people to live better lives.
About change, about 20 years ago, I remember thinking, I experienced a new tool, and I remember thinking, now I think we have all the tools we'll ever need. And that was 20 years ago.
Times have changed
Can
since
you
then.
imagine all the new tools since then? So the same thing's happening with plumbing fixtures and parts and everything else.
Yeah, and honestly, I came out of the field and went more into code work in 2008.
Okay.
And at the time, cordless was just becoming a new thing, and with quality tools. There had always been cordless tools, but using them in a construction environment was very difficult. Just the improvement in technology on that edge in the last 20, 30 years has been astronomical. GPS core drilling, BIM, all these things that have made things so much easier, so much better.
Yeah.
Cut down on change orders, cut down on mistakes. It is amazing how much better things have got. And all along, there's been people trying to stop the ball from rolling. There are times to slow it down, but you got to realize change is coming.
Yeah. So what's that? As I think about, so I had a service company. So I imagine I'm out, 50 miles from a supply house, and I got a 3D printer in the back of my truck, and I can print out this part and install it. There's some hiccups there. Like, how are we going to solve? Has there been any thought about what's going to be required or needful, or
that's a difficult question?
Or even like cartridges and stuff.
Yeah, that is a difficult question because now you're creating your own part.
Yes.
How do we ensure the quality? How do we ensure that each and every component in the product that you've made meets all the specifications it is? As an example, I mainly center with backflow prevention and cross-connection control with IATMO.
Sure.
When someone builds a new product, it goes through a very, very aggressive listing program for it. Field testing, laboratory testing, and everything else. And that goes for every piece of it. Every piece of rubber, every elastomer in it, every stainless steel clip has to meet a specific requirement. And if we're going to get into 3D printing, it's going to be difficult to see, how that stamp of approval can be getting on it. If you're making a product in the back of your truck,
right?
Are the plastics you're using, are they listed?
Right.
How are we going to trace all those things and have it traceable so that we can, look at it and ensure that the public health is protected? That's a difficult situation.
I don't see how. At this point, I don't see how, but I also see that as, wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be amazing, and it's a challenge.
Yeah.
And, like I said, change is our only constant. Change just continually keeps going. I look at stuff that we put in, especially when, we get into backflow preventers. They used to be much larger, much heavier. Your installation criteria was much more in-depth. Now we're into plastics and stainless, and the industry just keeps changing.
Right.
Things, we make things better than we used to.
Right.
And whether it's cars, whether it's plumbing products, whether it's faucets. I can think I built a new house 19 years ago. Every faucet in my house is 19 years old. They don't drip. Don't, there are no issues with it because our quality has gotten so much better.
Yeah. What is exciting change that you see coming? Do you know anything that's coming that you look forward to?
Well, down the pike again, AI is an interesting thing, which is going to happen when we look about dispatching and software and things like that. I just can't envision what's going to be there in 10, 15, 20 years. I truly can't because change comes so fast.
We'll be surprised.
Yes. When I was originally in the job, all our water piping we put in was copper tubing.
Yeah.
Now we're into PEX. The joining methods keep changing. Everybody is out trying to make a better mousetrap. And I think our job is with IATMO and with listing products is to make sure the mousetrap works.
Stay safe.
Yeah, to make sure it stays safe, make sure those products are good. We talk about parts per billion being a big issue these days. Making sure that the stuff is installed, it's inspected, and it's maintained correctly.
Right.
Those are hurdles that we do have.
Right. Do you have an education, like if a young person was interested in getting in your line of work, what kind of education would be helpful to work on?
To get into what we do at the high school level, I would take a certain basic level of algebra to make sure that they really think well. I wouldn't, magically just go into college. It is tough when you're 17, 18, 19 years old trying to decide what you want to do with the rest of your life. Yeah. But in my own case, I got out of high school. I became an apprentice. I was in a 5-year apprenticeship program, and I moved through that, and I never, ever stopped learning.
Right.
And I personally have 3 children. I have a policeman, I have a school teacher, and I have a pipe fitter.
Awesome.
Now, all my kids went to college. They really learned critical thinking and everything else. But I would say, if someone's going to get into the trade, basic math is important, algebra, learning how to think, learning how to communicate. And if you're going to get into the plumbing service or the mechanical service, learning how to deal with people.
Right.
And that's just it. And then understanding when you do get into this industry, you never stop learning.
Yes.
Never.
One of my favorite interviews was with a young kid that said he hated school. He didn't like to learn, but he knew that from 9th grade on. And so like 20 minutes later in the interview, I'm like, what do you like about plumbing? He's like, plumbing is so big and changing. I know I'll never quit learning. I go, did you just hear yourself?
Yeah.
But it's kind of hands-on, kinetic, actionable learning.
Yes, that is true. As an example, we do backflow certification classes. You have to be a 4th or 5th year apprentice to take them, or a journeyman.
Okay.
But half of it is hands-on and half of it's classroom.
Sure.
And you just can't get the knowledge you need without doing both. You have to touch the equipment, but you have to learn how it works. All my years in the industry, I knew guys that were very good at installing pipe and things like that. They could hit an 8-inch rolling offset every single time within a 1/16 of an inch, but they didn't understand what flowed through the pipe.
Right.
And, that's a problem. You need someone that is a critical thinker, someone who thinks outside the box, and someone who has a natural curiosity.
Right.
The best people in our industry is that.
Right.
There are guys who can do new construction all day long, but if the blueprint's wrong, the pipe goes in wrong because they don't understand the systems. Yes. So we're trying. I know PHC is trying to do that. I know the United Association tries to do it with their guys. They try to teach them how to think.
Right.
And, critical thinking is important in anything you do in life. And an understanding, and again, if I was looking for one quality in somebody I wanted to hire, it would be a natural curiosity.
Yeah.
So that they're always thinking.
Yeah. How do you tell someone's curious?
Well, when we get them into classes, it's fairly obvious the guys that are hungry and the guys that aren't.
Hand goes up.
Yeah, the hand goes up. They actually ask questions. We purposely, when we write quizzes and tests for our classes, we put wrong answers in them. We write questions that there are no answers, because that pulls it out of people. And once you get one guy talking, everybody else in the class joins in.
Yes.
So it's a great idea. But it has to start out at grade school, middle school, high school. And then you can't go anywhere in this world without some form of education after high school. If you really want to be successful, whether it's trade school, whether it's an apprenticeship, whether it's college, whatever it is, you definitely need that education.
Yeah. I have people say, well, you're not an apprentice. Like, I'm learning every day.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to ever learn. I don't want to ever forget the spirit of an apprentice.
Yeah, August 1977, I became an apprentice, and I'm still learning stuff today.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely. Keep it up.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks for being on, Sean.
Thank you, sir.
You got it. So that's a wrap. I hope you're inspired to make it to a trade show near you, or even put the 2024 PHCC Connect show in Birmingham, Alabama, October 7 through 10 on your calendar. If you can't make it, but want to stay up to date on what's going on at the shows, like and subscribe, and I'll do my best to bring the shows to you.